Hey, Sycamore Junior High, welcome back. I'm here with Mr. Stern, and the purpose of this video is to be clear about the expectations of behavior that we have at Sycamore Junior High, and in order to make this a safe and productive and fun place to learn.
So our school goals, we want you to make connections. That's really, really important. Of course, we want to prepare you for the future, for high school, what you do beyond high school. And we just want you to have some great experiences. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Cole and I are former Sycamore Junior High students. We went to school at the junior high and went through the high school. So, if you guys are ever thinking you don't know what it's like to be us, we do a little bit. We've had a little bit of experience of being a student at Sycamore. So we know that there are some amazing experiences that you're going to have the opportunity to do. And of course, we want you to be able to partake in those. But the only way that we can do that is if we have a common understanding of behavior. That's going to be really important. For those of you who don't know what my role is here, I have kind of a dual role. One of those is I am Dean of Students, which means I do take care of a lot of the discipline. And I'll put it out there right now because the question I get all the time is, Mr. Stern, if you meet with me, do you call my parents? And yeah, I'm going to put it out there right now. Anytime we meet with you, we do let your parents know because they don't not want to know. They want to know what's going on here at the junior high. It's not our intention to get you in trouble. But so I'm the Dean of Students, but I am also the athletic director, and I'll be getting to that in a different video. But hey, let's talk about consequences. Of course, we do have rewards as well, but we are at the beginning of the year, so we do want to let you know what our expectations are.
And your teachers will remind you consistently through the year of the behavior expectations that we talk about today, and then the specific classroom expectations that they have. In addition to Mr. Stern, Mr. Meyer, myself, and Ms. Shunk, from time to time, we'll talk with you guys and just remind you about the best and most efficient way that we can get together and just have a productive school. And so we do have a PBIS reward system for those of you coming up from the Green School. So we're going to spend a lot of time and energy trying to promote and reward good behaviors, but we wanted to take time today to specifically talk about behavior expectations that we can lean on throughout the year, as well as maybe some natural and logical consequences that will come from some of the decisions that some students will make. And these can go from morning detention, a lunch detention, after school detention, Friday school, Saturday school, suspensions, and things like that. And so we just want to be upfront with what our expectations are, because we think that makes it better for you so that you know what your expectations are.
One of our first expectations that we'll go over is our expectations for attendance. We have 180 school days in the year, and attendance is the first step to academic success. If you are sick or absent for any reason, your family should contact the school, and you should contact your teachers, check Canvas, and work to get your missing work done as soon as possible. School starts every day at 8:10, and the only way to be guaranteed to be on time is to ride the bus. If you're having car troubles or issues getting to school on time, we can help you figure that out. If you are late to school or class chronically, teachers, the office will follow up at home and issue detentions. So be to school and class on time. As we go through these behavior expectations, we're going to use the student handbook, which you guys saw and agreed to on final forms, to walk us through this.
And I'm going to start with the serious stuff, the serious offenses. These are very rare, and these are going to include threats to the school, Title IX violations, harassment, intimidation, bullying type stuff. And just to let you know, some of these include not only school sanctions, but again, can have legal implications. So as far as threats to school, that can include something that somebody says, somebody that writes, if it's on social media. So we always want to reinforce that if you see something, say something. We want to make sure that we just have a safe school environment. And again, so make sure that you're choosing your words correctly. In the past, students have thought what they said was maybe intended to be a joke. It was not taken that way. And so there were just some serious consequences with that. Drugs, again, this is very rare to have on our campus, but possession, consumption of drugs, alcohol, tobacco is forbidden, as well as what you might consider our lookalikes, things that are intended or somebody believes is. And so, this includes vape pens, it includes unprescribed medication, it includes medication that you might have brought to school but should be taken through the nurse. And so if you have questions about what's allowed on school campus, please again come see one of us, the administrators. But again, in general, that stuff is prohibited.
Our next topic is fighting, physical altercation, or horseplay, which, as you can see, says a student may not engage in a physical exchange with another student that may or does cause physical discomfort or harm with other students. So a lot of times what we'll see is at recess or in the hallways that people are participating in what they would call horseplay, goofing around with their friends, but sometimes you don't realize that can escalate from time to time, but also it can cause harm to other students who are involved or the students who are nearby. So just in general, keep your hands to yourself. Our next section is going to be on the harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And you guys have heard about this probably every single year that you've been in school. A couple things that we want to highlight to make sure that you understand is that it can be mental or physical. It's something that creates an intimidating environment. It typically means that it's happening multiple times. And it also includes words that are spoken, words that are written, words are on the computer, gestures. It could be things on social media. And so, as you guys know, that we have a zero tolerance policy. And so, if you feel that you need support or a friend needs support, please talk to a teacher, a counselor, an administrator. And if you are not sure if what you're saying or doing is being received well, if it's not appreciated, again, the standard is that if somebody asks you to stop, you stop. And if that doesn't happen, then that's when we get involved.
You want me to hit some?
Please.
Hey, we know that there's going to be conflict. I mean, there is conflict, whether you're a teenager, adult, everybody deals with conflict. But what you got to think about is how are you dealing with that conflict? Just because you have a conflict with someone does not make it necessarily bullying. We need to realize there is a distinction between that. But hey, if you're having a hard time dealing with a conflict, you feel like you can't handle it, please let somebody know. Let a teacher know, let a counselor know, let one of us know. And part of being in junior high and growing up is learning how to deal with different types of conflict. So we definitely want to help you through that. False rumors, of course, that's going to fall under being disrespectful or provoking others. And that includes what you're doing out on social media. So don't think that social media is completely unconnected to school. We know that what really builds your relationship between that person on social media is you have a relationship with them here at school. A lot of times that social media will then spill into school, and then that becomes a real problem. So you got to think, I kind of always have this motto: if I think something might be an issue, it's probably an issue. So kind of have that in the back of your mind. If you're about to press send and you think, this might not be a good idea, you're right, it's probably not a good idea.
One of the other issues on here is the dress code. And with the dress code, again, our goal here is to make sure that you're here to learn, that what you're wearing is not a distraction. It's not something that either by what it is or words that are written on it or images or messaging, that it's something that's going to make it harder for somebody else to learn. And so if you have a question about what you can or can't wear at school, I'm going to use Mr. Stern's analogy right there, right? If you think that maybe it's questionable, maybe save it for the weekend or when you're hanging out with your friends.
Hallways. As we're going from class to class, remember that you guys have 4 minutes to get from one class to the next. Make sure we're getting there on time, going straight to class. If you need to use the restroom, that's cool. Just make sure you're budgeting your time getting to class. If you're in class and need to go to the restroom or see a counselor or the main office, make sure you have a pass. If you're going to the counselor, you're going to go through the counseling entrance and sign in with Miss Manning. If you're going to the main office, you'll go over to the main office entrance and see Miss Proctor. There's also 2 elevators in the building. You're not allowed to use the elevator unless you have a special pass from the nurse or the administration. You've probably already seen the restrooms. As you go in the restroom, boys, you guys are going to the right, girls, you guys are going to the left. Let's just make sure that we are being efficient and effective with our use of the restrooms, that we're not horse playing, that we're using them as they're intended. We're keeping it clean. Again, we have a lot of people here in the building who are working hard to keep this place beautiful. So again, let's make sure that we're just using the restrooms correctly. A couple of other quick hitters. You'll see on here classroom disruption. So that means that you're not interrupting or interfering with the ability of others to learn themselves. You see chronic misbehavior. The idea that if you're just doing something over and over again, even if it's just small, again, that can lead up to extended consequences. Obviously, damage or destruction of property, disrespect, whether it's to students or staff. Again, we just need to make sure that we're refraining from the use of profane or obscene language, motions, signs, electronic or written messages, or derogatory comments that are based on appearance, race, religion, gender, or sexuality. Again, students are expected to be honest and truthful, and honor the reasonable requests of peers and adults. So if somebody asks you to leave them alone, leave them alone.
Food and drink in the classroom. Food, that's really going to be up to the discretion of your teacher. Don't be afraid to ask. If it's fourth bell and you know that you get typically hungry in fourth bell, you definitely say to your teacher, hey, do you mind? I know when I taught in the classroom, my answer to the student was, I shouldn't notice it. Right? If it don't make it a big deal, and it won't be a big deal. So, but definitely ask your teacher. They might not want the potential crumbs on their floor and whatnot. But as far as drinks, hey, we love the water bottles. So keep bringing them in. Make sure that you're staying hydrated, especially the athletes out there. But do not be bringing soda into the class. Don't be stopping at Starbucks in the morning and think that you're going to be taking that to class. What we want to see are water bottles only in the classroom.
And the last one we really have here is technology. And so I'm going to talk about Chromebooks a little bit. The district issued you Chromebooks, and it's a great educational tool. I think everybody knows that. We need to make sure that, be the type of student that the teacher does not need to have Bloxy on for you. Complete your assignments, do your best job. You shouldn't be listening to YouTube videos or playing games or whatever else. And so just make sure you're using your technology for what it's intended. And the last topic, I think, is our cell phones. With cell phones, we shouldn't see them in the building before school. I know some people will use it on the bus. Cool, whatever rules that your bus driver has, but we don't want to see them as soon as you enter into the building and until you exit at the end of the day. And so that means that in class, in the hallways, at lunch, in the restroom, again, the cell phone should be turned off. It should be in your bag, and we shouldn't see it. And so if you have questions about that, come let us know. A teacher, if they see your cell phone on the first time, they're going to take it. They'll send it to the office. You can pick it up at the end of the day. The second time, a family member has to come pick it up, and then again, the consequences kind of roll from there. And so just to be straight up about the cell phone policy, you shouldn't see it anytime really you're in the building. After school activities, your coach or your club advisor might have a different rule just because of the uniqueness of that situation.
Well, we covered a lot there.
That was a lot. And again, really, you should know that Mr. Stern and I, all of us in the administration, the office, the teachers, we're really here to create an environment for you to be successful. Our hope is the only time we see you is at sporting events, at clubs, at lunch, in the hallway. We're going to be your biggest cheerleaders. We're both coaches. Our job is to get you to be the best person you can be. And so sometimes that means providing a little structure, but really we want to help you become your best.